Hello everyone, welcome to another Starcraft 2 replay. It's actually going to be a set of replays. I'm going to load up a match from each of the new ladder maps. I guess they're not that new anymore, but new since I've been making videos anyways. And I'm going to want to talk a little bit about each of these maps, and then just the change in general, and my fast expand, how it works on these. And I guess we can start with that. First of all, the maps are no longer on the ladder pool. Steps of War is gone, so that nice easy TVZ map where you get the nice close rush distance, and where your fortress actually covers the ramp itself. That was a pretty nice map, but for Terran, that one's out. Shakur's Plateau, which I thought was very balanced across the board, is actually out, which is too bad because that was also a very good map for my Ketroc fast expand build, where you have the ramp more or less protected by the fortress. Protect you from Baneling busts and whatnot. You also had that back alley, which is nice to take out Zerg if you happen to both spawn at the top or bottom. What else was removed? Lost Temple is gone. I know Shattered Temple has taken its place, which is very similar. However, the ramp is further away from the fortress in Shattered Temple, so you don't get quite as good a cover. It's still decent for my Ketroc fast expand, but the fortress doesn't cover the ramp quite as well. And is that all of them? Jungle Basin's out. I never really liked that map anyways. So yeah, so the three new maps are added. We're starting here with Typhoon Peaks, and we'll get right into the match. And I thought it was appropriate to start with this replay, as it looks like both of us are playing a new map for the first time. I guess this is right after the patch. He says, "Whoa, cool map." And I think I make a comment similar to that a little later on, because I was not expecting this. Maps can change without there being a patch, so yeah, every once in a while you might have new ladder maps without it being expected. Yeah, and so this is surprising. I'll have to check the new maps. But I would say of the new maps, this is probably the best map for the Ketroc fast expand. However, I'm not sure if it's the best map for Terran in general. None of the new ladder maps actually have an easily defended ramp by the fortress, but this one's decent. I mean, you have the fortress here, which means the fortress range probably goes like somewhere along this line. Which obviously doesn't cover the ramp, but it's close. So what you can do is you can have the bunker at the top of the ramp, and then once that's filled, you can rally your forces down in this zone here. And that when they come into attack, you know this forces can help defend the ramp. If they push at those forces, all you gotta do is drop back a touch, and then you're fighting with your forces. I gotta pick better words, especially with the amount of slurring I typically do when I start talking faster. But yeah, the one key aspect of this map, it is gigantic. The rush distance is huge from any base to any base, actually. Like that's we're actually going corner to corner here, so yeah, that's only halfway. Continue up the ramp. So yeah, any sort of two-base timing push is probably not going to be that successful on a map like this. You really need to go further macro game into long game, which probably means you want to get tanks involved, kind of cut up the map. Ooh, nice little surround there. Goodbye. I've been failing my surrounds lately, so it's nice to actually see it work once in a while. It's especially nice if they didn't actually get a scout in on my, didn't actually get a scout in on the expansion. I guess that's the one advantage of this map, with the expansion being so far from the ramp. If they just walk straight up the ramp, they don't actually get sight on the fortress, or on the second command center. And sending out another scout probe. Always a good idea. Just because you lose your first scout probe, if you didn't pick up the information you need, you gotta send out another one. Yeah, so none of the new ladder maps are ideal for my Ketroc fast expand. However, I'm still going to continue using it. Plus, I keep two of the new maps thumbs down. I've been kind of like toying with which two, because I'm not sure which one I like. I got Slag Pits up right now, but yeah, basically I'm keeping Scrap Station down, and then two of the new ladder maps. If you ever want to play tournaments or something like that, you should probably not use any of your thumbs down. Like, keep everything available, because you never know what maps you'll have to play in the ladder, or sorry, in the tournaments. So it's good to have practice on all of them. But for me, I usually don't go much higher than just ladder, so if I'm laddering, I want to choose the best maps for myself. And as it's against Protoss, I'm taking all my guys off gas once I get the 150. In fact, yeah, it's kind of a lull right here, so I do want to talk about this. I always say to put 5 on gas, and that way your command center finishes at the exact same moment as your engineering bay, at the exact same moment you get your 150 gas, which seems ideal, but in terms of micro, you want to get all you guys off of gas once you hit 150. But also when you hit 150, you need to start your orbital, you need to, put down your bunker or make a marine, you need to upgrade your fortress, plus you might have other stuff going on like your scout to the SCV, or killing his scout. So it's a lot going on at once, so I usually have problems actually getting my guys off gas quickly. So what I do now is actually put 6 on gas rather than 5. And then that way I hit 150 earlier, I can pull everyone off gas, and then my command center finishes. So it just allows me to get one of my tasks out of the way before I upgrade my planetary fortress. So 6 on gas, pull them off once you hit 150, then you can upgrade your fortress and do all that other jazz. And yeah, since I have like a 50 APM or 45 APM, this is let's see where my APM's at right now. 31 APM. I don't spam at the beginning, so that'll probably raise as the match goes on. But yeah, since I have a low APM, we'll say, it's nice to simplify the task for myself. Sorry, frame rate's suffering a little bit here. Yeah. Alright, so you may notice this is a little bit brighter, the screen. I did turn up the gamma for a reason, just so I can kind of show the map. If you spawn in vertical positions, it looks like you can do a 2-base push. What you do is just kind of blow out the rocks, go through this alley and blow out the rocks here. And that'll work. That'll shorten the distance, so it'll be nice versus Protoss, and it's also like a 1-lane alley, so it's good versus Zerg, as it'll make it very difficult for them to get a flank on you. That's one thing I was working into my Zerg game. Anytime I was short rush distance, I like to just go tank, marine, Medivac, and push in on them. If they get roaches, I mix in marauders as well. And that's what I've been doing in close positions. Long positions, obviously, I'm still doing my Raven build, which is pretty sick. I actually checked my stats recently, and I'm 49% versus Terran, I'm 51% versus Protoss, and I'm a whopping 57% versus Zerg. And that got bloated just because of that new Raven build. I noticed my Raven build is actually 72% win rate, which is really sick. And I think after this video I'll probably do a live session, because I just feel like I'm on the verge of hitting Masters League. I'm like 11 points out of being first place in Diamond. I'm on a huge winning tear, so my MMR must be really high. I'm getting matched up against Master League's opponents. So I've been to this spot a couple times before though, and I started just like it just queued a losing streak for me. So I usually end losing streaks by doing live sessions, so I'm going to try to preempt my losing streak by starting with a live session. Frame rate is still a little rough here. So I've been talking so long about getting more RAM that it's actually gotten to the point now where I may just get a new computer. It'd be nice to be able to encode these videos faster and to have a computer capable of actually like streaming videos live, so I may actually start up my own little streaming website. Also with my new headset issues, I realized I wouldn't have those issues if I were on Windows 7. I have no issues with XP otherwise, but yeah, it's getting to that time I probably should upgrade my OS. Plus Windows 7 is pretty good. Vista is absolutely terrible. I would have never upgraded to that, but Windows 7, pretty solid overall. Not as fast as XP, but still a lot faster than Vista. So I still always open with my bio push versus Protoss, even when it's long positions like this. And if it doesn't fare well, then I can start cutting the map in half. And this is pretty good for cutting the map in half. You notice the only clear path through is the middle here. And there's kind of 2 chokes, like so. There you got a wide middle with 2 Xel'Naga towers. Xel'Nagas plus tanks are always a good combination anyways, just because you always get that additional sight range for the tank, so they can fire at their max. and then the 2 chokes on the other side. So if I could establish some sort of position here, you know, throw up a few bunkers to a few siege tanks, keep my forces here, I can more or less cordon off my half of the map, get some sort of sight on these back rocks, maybe a tank behind the rocks, just so I can snipe anything that tries to kill the rocks, buy me some time. And yeah, I think if I can cut the map in half like that, I usually do well versus Protoss. That was kind of my moment of clarity on Metalopolis. Whenever I was cross map versus Protoss, it was an automatic loss until I started realizing, hey, I can just kind of stay back, cut it in half instead of trying to push, and all of a sudden that turned from an automatic losing into automatic winning. I actually feel best against Protoss these days. Getting pretty good at getting my Viking count to the right number compared to his Colossus to shut down that, and I always like my Cloak Ghost versus Templar. I still say that's something that should only work until Protoss start learning to bring an observer around with their force, like this guy actually is. But yeah, let's talk about Val here. Got an okay EMP, but my army is basically his size, plus I have a planetary fortress, so this shouldn't be much of an issue. Did have a lot of robotics units, which is kind of a pain. Yeah, it's still in shape. I think I accidentally pulled a bunch of SCVs though. And that's what I meant about how this map kind of works out well. Had he tried to push up the ramp, it would be the same thing. My army could protect the ramp. I did have a bunker here. Usually when I feel my army's big enough to challenge his army straight up, I usually get rid of that bunker, because for a while I'm a little bit mineral strapped, and that extra 100 minerals getting it back always comes in handy. And then once I start pumping ghosts and medevacs, that's when my gas count starts going back down. Always good to keep an eye on your medevacs. Sometimes you do accidentally load units like this, and it's a good idea to unload them. Looks like Protoss is taking his third, and yeah, I'm thinking about the same thing here, throwing down my third command center. I do have 2-1 upgrades though. Just bring up the production tab here. Just getting combat shield, which would probably be a good time to push after that. Ship weapons 1 will help a little bit versus the Colossus as well. I always get that upgrade. I'm not sure if it makes sense. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it's just better to keep my Vikings just 0-0 and just spend that little bit of extra money for an extra Viking rather than the +1. But I don't know. I'm a bit of an upgrade whore. I just love upgrading. I think this mass upgrade strategy I do does work well with the fortress, in that the fortress can keep you alive with a smaller army, allowing you to push out. Oh, this sucks. Left even a ghost behind. Allowing you to push out with, well, allows you to sit back and upgrade even though you have a smaller army without being really threatened. Very good EMP you got down there. Kind of kiting a little bit because he had a high zealot count. I kind of want to get the zealot count down before I totally engage. And now that I'm ready to engage, I notice I don't have a big enough army too. That's 5 Colossus in there. And they are all real. Was nice I EMP'd all the sentries. I've heard of Terran these days. Like, I noticed in pro matches, Terran almost never went, sniping off some Colossus. That's Colossus down, count down to 2, and this is the advantage of the fortress. Even though I'm completely dead, he can't actually finish the push. I guess he could try going up my ramp, but I still have a bunch of medevacs and reinforcements coming. I lost my thought. What was I talking about? Yeah, in pro matches, Terran never got ghosts versus Protoss, and I realize these days they started getting them just because of sentry force fields. I'm like, I always use ghosts because of, you know, Immortals hardened shields and Templar energy and stuff like that. I've never even thought about using versus Sentries. Sentries are never a problem for me. And then I thought, well, you know what? Sentries are never a problem for me because I always have EMP, so I never have to face get my army cut in half all the time because I'm always laying down EMPs on Protoss. So just one of those headaches I've never had to deal with just because I always get ghosts. Maybe something you may not see a lot at your level, but at higher level, like at my level, or if you watch the GSL, just the high level, there's some really sick Protoss players that use force fields to perfectly placed force fields, just cordoning off the exact amount of units they want to cordon off. Allows them to win battles that look like they shouldn't be able to win. So here we come once again. That's a bad section off for me, and he did get the force fields down there, but he didn't. He only cordoned off a few of my units, so it wasn't a big deal. Got down a couple of good EMPs. Now I'm feeling pretty good about this battle. I should be able to come out on top. Try to focus fire the Immortals if you can. It does help, especially with the hardened shields down. It makes it so, plus EV to do it. Or, I don't know, probably the wrong term to use when I'm playing Starcraft, but it gets rid of so much of their DPS is based on the Immortals, so it's nice to snipe them down. And my 3-3 ups are almost complete. Let's see where the Protoss is at. He is at 1-0, so yeah, falling way behind. I still say more Protoss players should do double upgrades. I've had so many problems winning battles versus Protoss when they go for double forge. Not only can their upgrades be equal, but they can actually be ahead. I mean, forge is probably the best use for your chrono boost. I mean, if you start chrono boosting your warp gates all the time, yeah, you'll get units faster, but just building another warp gate does the same thing. There's no mechanism to get out faster upgrades besides using chrono boost on it. And double ups on Protoss gateway units is pretty sick. I should actually be cutting here. That's a lot of zealots. There we go. It's a little better. Next patch, what's the new change coming in, that whenever a zealot charges, it's guaranteed to get a hit in, which makes a lot of sense. I guess it's almost like a bug that they don't. If you run away from a zealot who's charging at you, the zealot should definitely get in range to hit you. And looks like this should be able to clean up the toss here. Yep, Terran OP. Yeah, being 5 upgrades behind is also a little bit OP as well. Does look like he went heavy. He probably... Did he do all that off of just... No, there's a second robotics. Yeah, he went double robotics, so that's where he's spending all his gas. And he sacrificed the upgrades. Which makes your push stronger, but it makes your long-term game weaker because you won't have the upgrades for your later armies. And yep, 3-3 versus 1-0 is a little imbalanced. So that is Typhoon Peaks, and let's jump into another of the new maps. Alright, so here we are on Backwater Gulch, the second of the three new ladder maps. And yeah, I would say this is probably the worst of the three for the Ketroc fast expand. I mean, the ramp is completely separated from where the fortress would go. In fact, with this little chasm in the middle here, it's almost like putting them in two completely separated areas. So you'd rarely get to fight with them together. And on top of that, even though it's bad for my fortress fast expand, it's good for typical fast expands, as you do just have the one ramp, and you can kind of use this high ground to defend and hold the two, your main base and your natural. So your opponent will have an easier time fast expanding, but you actually can't fast expand, at least not successfully in using my build order. You would have to use some other, maybe one racks fast expand sort of idea. So I don't like that for those two reasons. However, there is a gold base here, which I did want to kind of think about and toy with. Like, instead of taking my natural, I mean, typical TVT match, you put an orbital at your natural, and then you expand towards your opponent, and you put up a fortress. So that kind of gives you like almost like a proxy area, like where you're closer to your opponent, but you're still defended. So I'm thinking, well, maybe you can do it in a different order, where instead of going to your natural first, you do the Ketroc fast expand right at the gold, take the gold first with a fortress, and then that allows you to take an easy third with an orbital at your main base, or at your natural, which would be pretty safe. So that's why I put this map thumbs up, and I wanted to try it. However, I was really thinking about this bottom right-hand base and doing that, and like, I spawned in the bottom left. There is no gold outside of my base. So I'm going super ballsy here, and I'm actually going to take the gold outside of my opponent's base. This is expanding a little further towards my opponent than I wanted to, but we'll see how it works out. He is just scouting with the... you can see the scout path of the drone didn't actually pass by this base, so he doesn't see it. And the Overlord's going to come in as well. So until he sends this drone back home, if he even does, that's only the time he's going to see this command center. And by opening 15 hatch, which I think would be pretty common on this map, it is pretty big and it is fairly easy to hold expansion. I'm not even sure if the Zerg can deny this, because by the time it gets Zerglings out, all you need to do is complete the command center, and then you can finish off this base. What I would be a little bit more concerned to get is maybe Protoss, where, you know, if they throw a couple stalkers on here or here, they can probably deny your mining. But against Zerg, I think this is pretty viable. Roaches and Zerglings, you should be able to hold that off with the fortress alone, and it gives you kind of a point to head towards your opponent. And talking about this map in general, yeah, okay, I said it was bad for the fortress fast expand. Another kind of thing to notice is everything seems to be kind of narrow here. Like all the pathways, there's no like big wide open area, which I think gives you an advantage versus Zerg. It allows you to kind of move in with your tanks and use your tanks as a kind of like a defensive zone to fall back to as you're moving in. It's harder for Zerg to get the flanks. This would also be a good map for Colossus, so you probably want to mix tanks in versus your Colossus as well, just because going straight bio versus a Colossus army in like these narrow gaps is never good for you. So definitely a map where you probably want to mix in mech, whether you're going for a push or whether you're going for a longer macro game. I think either way you want to get the mech in there. Is interested. Yep, these Zelnalga towers can definitely see this this planetary fortress here. So bring out the production tab, and he sees its fortress. It's definitely too late for him to do any sort of harass on it. So you can see how this works out well. I have this forward position is going to really distract him. I mean, here's his ramp. He basically is walking down his ramp right into my fortress, which will probably allow me to take an easy to defend third. So you can make this an orbital, maybe throw down a bunker just to defend any sort of... is that even my natural? No, this is my natural here. Sorry, I don't know this map very well. Yeah, to throw down an orbital command with maybe a bunker in case he tries to flank with some Zerglings, or you can make it a fortress just to make it, you know, a little bit mindless a defense. But it definitely gives you the ability to take an orbital as a third. Gonna get a little lucky here. I kind of want to take this high ground myself. And I just, ooh, hello Overlords. So I'll speed this up a touch. I am going to open just kind of with like a 2-base push, see if I can kind of just get in there with Marines and Siege tanks. Throwing up some supply depots, I guess just for kind of to catch any mutas or drops. Just to get a little extra sight, because there is this gap on the mini-map if you follow my cursor where you can fly between that I can't see. So I don't want him like just cutting straight across the map and catching me by surprise. We got income tab. We're pretty even, which means I'm ahead. Zerg, you definitely want to be ahead in base count, which is just saying his third now, and you want to be ahead in harvester count, because you can make drones much faster, and Terran can make SCVs, but he's actually well behind. Is he going for some sort of timing push here, or is he just... Yeah, I guess something like this fortress can completely screw with you. And maybe I'll back up there a touch. Looks like we missed a little attack here. So it looks like he hit me just in time. Here comes the mutas before I got these missile turrets down. I usually have that timing down pretty good, but he beat me to the punch this time. So just constantly putting SCVs back on these missile turret production. Although I didn't quite finish this one. Sitting at 24 of 25. Probably could have killed an extra muta if I fixed that up. One too many on the gas. That's unfortunate. I'll finish that darn turret. Come on. There we go. Finally. Well, don't have to worry about having this refinery oversaturated anymore, as I just lost every SCV that went on it. It's definitely a good trade for me. If I end up losing all these Marines, I'm taking a lot more a lot more money worth of Mutalisks. And Zerglin's gonna come finish that up. Run away! Nope. And that's the end of these two supply depots. Oh well. I'll fix this rally point though. Hello. I particularly remember this being a super ugly game for macro. I don't even want to look at my resources right now. Well, we're up at 900. We'll just pretend it stays in the 3-digit numbers, not the 4 digits, because it's going to get really bad. Yeah, I still have issues macroing up while I'm attacking, and this is going to be pretty non-stop action kind of from this point forward. One Viking does beat one Mutalist, heads up. Does not beat 4 Mutalisks, heads up. Looks like he's blowing out his back rocks just so he doesn't have to kind of bypass this zone, because this is kind of a death trap. He does have the space to go north and come swing around from the top. That's kind of a long route. So I did see him blowing through this way, so I'm like, well, I'm going to kind of let him destroy those rocks, then try to use it to my advantage, try to move out at that time. So I am getting a bit of an army together. And losing Medivacs like an idiot. Probably not worth sniping that last Medivac. He did lose 2.5 mutas there. And now with these rocks down, I'm like, thank you very much. I'm going to use that for my advantage. Maybe building one more missile turret here would be nice, just to give it a little more coverage. It's funny, I actually thought these rocks led into his main base, but it's just another path into the natural. Once again, I do not know these maps very well, at least at this point. Nice little flank by the Zerglings here. It is going to take out a majority of my tanks, if not all of them. Yep, that's all of them. One hero marine left. But reinforcements on the way. Got one more tank and a few more marines. Sniping a few creep tumors. Zerg does have his third saturated. I have my third sitting around doing nothing. Once again, I didn't know the map. I guess I thought this was my natural, which it wasn't. And yes, 2,200 minerals in the bank. Oh yeah. I'm micring okay though. I avoided the bailings there. Just kind of pull back, let the tanks pop them all. He's kind of swinging around with his mutas, looking for a line to get at my tanks. And he finds one. Able to snipe one. Oh, that one hurt. And I actually think I see the bailings here, so I'm just doing a preemptive split. I do lose everything, but he had to use probably more resources worth of bailings than I lost in Marines. Bunch of reinforcements sitting up here, which I never actually notice. 2 tanks, 2 Medivacs, really key units, and of course I don't even use any of them. Bad time to transfer the Queen. And it looks like he just gets frustrated from the constant pressure and quits. Maybe a little preemptive. I mean, yeah, I guess he didn't have much of any army, but you never know. Just land a few key bailings, and then you can completely destroy my push, and then all of a sudden you're up 4 bases to 2. However, yeah, he was behind. Looks like he was in a lot of trouble at this point. Especially if I realized I had this sitting around, and especially if I realized I had this sitting around. I think I was doing a little bit of macro where I was actually trying to produce from these buildings, but I probably supply cap myself a bunch of times, so I never actually continued making supply depots. Yeah, I have lots of issues attacking and macroing at the same time for sure. But that's something you can definitely try. You can try the Ketroc fast expand going to the gold minerals. My strategy though for this maps was just to give it the thumbs down and move on to another map. Alright, so I guess if I have enough hard drive space left, we're going to do one final map, and that will be the last of the new maps, which is Slag Pits. Alright, so here we are on Slag Pits, the final of the 3 new ladder maps. My red Protoss opponent is PMOS, and I'm the blue Terran. And we are spawning in the 12 and 3 o'clock positions. Now if you spawn on this diagonal, or the opposite diagonal, the 9 and 6 o'clock, it's actually really short rush distance, where it's just down the ramp, around this corner, and boom, you're at his base. I believe this is actually the shortest rush distance of any ladder map, shorter than like Close Position Metalopolis, shorter than Steps of War. So that typically favors Terran, I believe. It will cause some problems for my build though, just because, you know, they're close enough that maybe they can snipe off your SCV, making the command center with early Zerglings or Chrono Boosted Zealot. The 4 warp gate will be a little more powerful, like hitting your ramp. And again, a map where the fortress does not cover the ramp whatsoever. I mean, you probably got range to like here. But again, once you get your bunker down and filled, you can kind of pool your army in the middle, and then the army can defend the ramp and can fall back to the fortress. So a little bit easier to get rushed to death, but it's not a terrible map for the fortress fast expand. At least you get some coverage. But here comes an early Zealots. You can see the timing here. That wasn't super fast, but his first Zealot was still almost got here in time to kill the command center. So if you actually did it directly and use Chrono Boost, you would probably be able to snipe that SCV. Second Zealot here. This is actually going to do a lot of damage, but it's not going to kill the fortress. You can build a fortress faster than 2 Zealots can take it down. And here comes a Stalker, which means as soon as I see that Stalker, I'm like, I gotta throw down a bunker right now. I don't want to, if he came to my ramp, I don't want to risk lifting my barracks and letting him in, so I just put the bunker where I can, and this actually ends up being a pretty good spot for it. The key to the bunker is just to have range on the bottom of the ramp, so you can't get sight of the top of the ramp without being in range of your bunker. So this still fills that role. You can't do this on all the maps though. A lot of maps you want to put the bunker here, replace the barracks, just to guarantee you get sight on the entire bottom. Range on the bottom, and it looks like he's moving into a 4 warp gate build. Yep. Even adding on a robo, you can't support all that, but you know, you can kind of pick and choose which units you want. pulling my repair in time. Looks like he's switching to the supply depot, then switching to the SCVs, and yeah. Yeah, I kind of pick a target and use it. I think none of those would have worked out well, though. I have actually had issues where they've been attacked to the point where I only have 1 or 2 Marines, and it takes me so long to kill them that he's actually able to snipe off so many SCVs that are repairing that actually fall behind. A little annoying. And it looks like he's clearing out the gold. I guess he's going to try to catch up economically by going straight to the gold as the second base. But if we bring up the income tab, you can see I'm well ahead in harvester count, plus the mules. Yeah, I'm in really good shape here. And his army count advantage is more or less gone. I got my bunker filled, I already got 2 marauders out, and I got 3 barracks pumping. 2 with the tech lab, 1 with the reactor. On my way to starport as well. So this is the point after you get your bunker filled where you kind of want to start open the wall and queue up your barracks to this zone. If he tries to ramp us, you can still try to close the wall quickly, and then you can use these units from behind and the bunker from in front and still hold it off pretty well. And if you look at my resources, you can see this is why I kind of like selling my bunker once I feel comfortable, because an extra 100 minerals would really help here. You can see I'm using up every single penny of minerals I got. I don't have to take my 4th this quickly, but I just like to, just so I have the gas built up so I can build ghosts and medivacs. Because I usually get those tech around the same time, and then like all of a sudden I instantly need like 800 gas worth of units, which I want to have. This observer follows me around the entire time, and I know a moving observer is supposed to be easy to spot the fizzle on the map, but I never see them. I can never see observers. I even tried that low graphics setting with like the high, like ultra for effects and textures, which is supposed to make it easier. I still can't see a damn thing. Observers are constantly invisible to me. So it looks like he's going to come in with a couple Immortals. I guess he's going to try to bust the fortress using the Immortals. Anytime you see Immortals, you do want to be a little bit wary about repairing your fortress. Nicely placed force fields there, causing me to kind of take a lot of hits as I fall back. But I was able to fall back to my fortress, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable here. Got the EMPs on the Immortals, which is really nice, and that is the end of that. Yeah, normally I encourage you not to actually repair your fortress against any sort of gateway rush, just because I know that it's not dangerous. You can kind of let it get down to the orange and to the red, let him think that he's actually, it's smart for him to focus fire, and then whenever you choose to repair, you can totally repair way faster and you can damage. So it's nice to encourage him to keep fighting the fortress and losing all his units. Now the exception to that is when there is Immortals in the composition. With just even a couple Immortals attacking a fortress, it does an insane amount of damage. Let's see if he's got one on the field here. Here you go. 50 damage per attack versus armored, so that's like doing 100 damage every 3 seconds. So even just one single Immortal can take down a fortress in 45 in-game seconds. So like 3 of them can do it in 15 seconds, plus you add in the gateway units. It can be pretty dangerous. Sorry if I'm a little bit nasally congested once again. Sick 3 times this year. Terrible. I work on my immune system. Got an EMP down, got an EMP down! Oh, fail. You know what that was? That was an EMP I queued up like 30 seconds ago, and the ghost was dancing behind those force fields for so long, and then finally got in range and attacked the zone that they didn't exist anymore. And you can see I do have enough scouting factory. I think this is actually his 3rd, so I actually feel like I might be behind. But so I come to take it out, but this will actually kind of solidify the win for me. This is only his 2nd, and his harvester count's pathetically low. Yeah, and I guess when you go Immortal Heavy Army, the ghosts are a little bit OP, although I didn't really use them well at all in that previous battle. So yeah, I guess I really didn't talk about the map a whole lot as much as the match. So yeah, we talked about how the Fortress Fast Command works here. Very close rush distance for this direction, but still not the longest distance either, if you're going, this direction or cross map. Wide open space in the middle with the Zalnaga, so Zerg can get the flanks on if you're going cross map. And not a whole lot of bases to take either. Just got like the main and natural in the 4 locations, and then the 2 golds that are defended by destructible rocks. And that's it for expansions. So it's definitely like, it feels like a base where you wanted 2 base push. He actually had Storm. I don't know why he wasted his energy on feedback. He could have stormed the crap out of me there and at least survived, but yeah, that is the end of that. Ghosts OP when you waste all your energy on your Templar anyways. You didn't even have to EMP you. You EMP'd yourself by wasting it on feedbacking Medivacs. And besides, I'm oversaturating Medivacs anyways. I got more than enough. Yeah, if you are a Protoss player, I would always suggest going Colossus. If you want to go to high Templar tech, still go Colossus first, just so you can survive the tech route to high Templar. Teching straight to high Templar just means you're stuck with nothing but gateway units for too long, and Terran Bio just devastates gateway units. So yeah, you need that fast tech route to Colossus. Get your AoE attack that way, then add in the Templar. And you'll find that works much, much better versus the sort of Terran Bio ball. So those are the 3 new maps. Myself, I like to keep Scrap Station down, Typhoon Peaks down, and Backwater Gulch down, and I keep this map up for now. But I've toyed with all the new maps. So with that, we'll call it the end of this video. Thumbs up fact to come, and I think I'll continue with a live session next. Alright, thank you everyone, and goodbye.
I've seen a lot of good lives wasted.
Alright, for today's thumbs up fact of the day, I'm going to talk a little bit about Medivacs, how to load them, how to unload them, how to use them in different scenarios. Alright, so first of all, loading them up. If you just box off everything and start to right-click the Medivacs to load them up, you can see it gets a little bit difficult in that they all cluster together. So it can be hard to actually find the Medivacs to... Sorry, it can be hard to find the available Medivac to actually load up. So what you want to do is not actually select all the Medivacs. You just want to select the units you're putting in the Medivacs. So you can do that a couple ways. You can just control-click all the Marines, and maybe shift-control-click the Marauders or whatever other units you have. That will select them all. Or you can box off everything, shift-control-click the Medivacs to take the Medivacs out of the group. So you can see them they're out of the group now. And now the Medivacs won't move, so it's very easy to just click on them individually. Alright. So now for unloading. Obviously you can just unload by clicking on one of the individual units, so you can unload them one at a time. Or there's this unload all button, D, which I'm sure a lot of you know. You just click D, click on somewhere on the ground, and I hear some yelling on the TV in the background. However, if I move the Medivac, it does interrupt that unloading sequence. So that's how you unload somewhere on the ground. Just hit the unload all button and press it on the ground. Now, if you want to unload while on the move, what you do is hit the unload all button and you click on the Medivac itself. Now it'll unload all those units as I'm moving. So that can create a nice little effect. You can do that with multiple Medivacs too. You just gotta click on each of them. So you just move, then you press D on the Medivacs, and you can kind of get this like almost this carpet bombing effect. It's a good way to spread out your units versus things like Bailings, or if you're doing a drop in a base that could have Templar, you spread out your Marines so they don't all die to one Psystorm. Just little things like that. And of course, like everything else, you can queue it up with a shift command. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my Medivacs to this location here. Then I'm going to hold down shift and press D on each of these units. And then I'm going to shift move over to this area here. So now it's all queued up. They're going to move to this location, and then they're going to start carpet bombing along here until they hit this location. So that's one way you can like drop a mineral line like that. So a little more practical use here. We're going to have 24 balings with, they don't have creep, so I get them speed. Figure they should at least have one or the other.
Now what? Will do, Command. Dropping off.
I guess she'll just show how it works against a bunch of Marines here. So I'm going to have 16 Marines and 2 Medivacs. I'm just going to roll these, attack move these balings in. And since there's no splitting going on, this is obviously going to be bad news for the Terran. So you can see he lost all of his Marines, and there's still 16 balings left.
Life flight's here.
Well, a nice easy way to spread your Marines is actually to use the carpet bomb effect as well. So here we're going to have a bunch of balings. And we'll attack move them across, and at the same time I'm going to start carpet bombing with the Medivacs. And you can see how that's a much more even battle. The first time I attempted to do this video, I actually survived with 3 Marines left over. This time just 2. But again, you want a nice, like, even spread, nice easy spread, just dropping from Medivacs. A nice perfect way to spread out your Marines. And the final use for this is if you have, just say you're doing a drop and then you get some mutas chasing you away and you're trying to retreat and you're not going to make it. Obviously these mutas will kill this Medivac, they're much faster. So I'm just going to send them in to attack. And I see it, so I pull away and I'm going to die, so I start to drop. But I'm dropping on one location, it just dies like instantly because I have to stop to drop. Well, if you do the other method where you don't stop, you can get much more successful. You can save a lot more Marines before you die, basically. So here comes more mutas, they attack here. Now I run away and I hit the drop on the Medivac itself. That allows me to get a lot of Marines out before I die. And not a fight I'm going to win, but at least, you know, I get these Marines out of the Medivac so they can be put to some sort of use. And with that, yeah, we're going to call that the end of this Thumbs Up Fact of the Day. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.